What's going on, good people? We going live. It just told me on my YouTube app that we went live, so we went live. I make sure I get the notification so I know. Oh, we even went on live on Facebook. So if you're watching from Facebook, what's up? um, Before we get into this video, we've been wanting to do a shout out to Brit Wrestling on Twitter, at wrestling_Brit. She retweets and likes all of our stuff, so we wanted to give a shout out to her and a big thanks for the support. But we wanted to do another discussion video because we like doing that, discussions, debates, things like that. We wanted to talk about finishers in wrestling. Are finishers in wrestling extinct in modern wrestling? And what gave me this idea was I don't know if anyone's ever watched Al Snow's videos. He, obviously he has a wrestling school, and sometimes he posts like training sessions and things like that. And one of the discussions he was talking about was with his class. He was talking about finishers and how finishers, the idea of a finisher is to finish the match. And it got me thinking, really, how many finishers anymore finish matches? How many, I can't even think of any wrestlers on any current roster anymore who have a finisher that people just don't kick out of. I mean, the most devastating moves somebody has kicked out of. It's it's to the point where it's like, are finishers even finishers anymore? And it's, even if you look in the indies, there's a lot of guys in the independents who don't even have finishers. They have signature moves and things like that, but I feel like the age of the finisher is kind of gone in a way. DJ, any initial thoughts on, or your thoughts or your opinions on finishers, and if they still exist or if they're kind of going the way of the dinosaur, I guess?
I'm gonna pull a page out of your book for once, and I'm gonna say yes and no because you do that all the time, and it frustrates me. But dang on it, I'm doing it for once. I don't know. I think this is a very difficult question to answer, um, because I don't know if there's ever been a time, at least since I've been watching wrestling. Um, Now I think maybe a little bit more in the '80s. Fans can maybe attribute to this time being more so, more existent. But I've never I've never seen a time where you know finishers haven't been kicked out of. Um, that always has seemed to add to a match. Um, and I can't, because I watched that video as well, that Al Snow did. I watched it a while back, and I remember him talking about it, and kind of like the finisher is designed to end the match, is designed to finish the match. Um, but like nowadays, especially, you see finishers get kicked out of multiple times, and then finally it might finish a match. As far as them being extinct, it's a hard question because I think probably about 85 to 90% of matches in WWE end with a finisher. I feel like, now I may have my percentages wrong. I may be lying on a percentage or over exaggerating a percentage, but I feel like when you really think about it, I mean, if you look down the list of the WWE roster, and you look at the way that they finish the majority of their matches, it's usually with their finisher. Now, then again, you can also say, I think there's more than just finishers as well. I feel like there's different like signature moves they use that could end a match. They might have this signature like submission that they use that could end a match. They have their moves that they do all the time that possibly could end a match. But I don't think, I guess, giving an answer one way or the other, I don't think finishers are extinct, especially more so in mainstream wrestling. I think finishers are extinct on the indies a little bit more, Simply because they're always trying to get that big match feel. They're always trying to make the match as good as possible, and a lot of times to do that, you almost have to have people kick out of finishers. Kick out of these moves where you think that it should be the end of the match. But like we've said, we see it in mainstream all the time too. So it's kind of one of those things. I feel like finishers aren't extinct because there's a high percentage of matches that end um, with with that finisher. For example, you look back at a lot of Goldberg's matches, his matches, especially even more so just recently when he made the comeback. He ended his matches with basically two moves. It was either literally the only two moves in the match. But basically two moves though. Like it was either the jackhammer or it was the spear. More than likely it was the jackhammer that ended the match. And it was odd because I always felt like his finisher was always the spear. So like I think I would say to answer this question, no, finishers are not extinct in modern wrestling, especially if we put modern and we add a word into this phrase, mainstream wrestling. I would say no.
Okay, you brought up two points that I wanted to kind of add on there. You said, back in the 80s, and I would even say early 90s is really kind of, I feel like maybe like mid 90s is where it started to kind of phase out. And then into like the late 90s is when we started to get, I feel like a lot of, kicking out of multiple finishers and things like that. I feel like back in like the 80s and the early days, yeah, you would see somebody kick out of a finisher, but it was in a big match. It had to be a big moment for that to happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't just any random match that you would kick out of, somebody's finisher. I feel like they saved it for those big moments, those like kind of WrestleMania type feel moments for those. Whereas now, yes, matches do still end with finishers, but going back to what Al Snow said, the finisher is designed to end the match. One finisher is designed to end the match. How many finishers do we see in one match?
Yeah. I think too, to kind of piggyback on that point, I think at times, there's a lot of finishers that we see that aren't really designed, like at least to the naked eye, don't look like they're designed to end a match, right? Like for example, No Way Jose's baseball punch or whatever, like logically, right? Like I know we shouldn't think about wrestling logically, but we do. Like logically, that shouldn't end a match, obviously. Um,
Hogan,
that's the one I can think of right off the top of my head.
you didn't think of Hogan's leg drop? Bro, it's a
Well,
leg drop.
I don't know. Like to me, and it may be just because it's Hogan, but like that's a lot of man coming down on your neck like that, though.
I mean, listen,
Like he a big man. That's a lot of leg. That's, as Ryan would say when pointing out everything as far as weight is concerned. That's a lot of leg coming down on your throat like that. I'm just saying. And usually, isn't the leg drop designed to hit the chest more than the throat?
uh,
I could be wrong.
not
I
really.
feel like logically it'd make more sense because obviously, like your leg ain't always gonna fit in the crevice where your chin and your chest is. But anyway,
We're gonna have to break down the leg drop now. It's gonna be That's gonna be another video.
oh yeah, it says it says the attacking wrestler will jump and land his leg across the fallen opponent's chest, throat, head, or face in some cases, the groin or lower abdominal region. But
This
I
man
think for the
up the definition of a leg drop.
I needed to see like if it's posted the chest did not. But anyway, like especially a leg drop on the chest for a guy that's that big. I mean, what was Hogan's weight? Like he's a big fella. That's a big like in that case, friggin' the doggone earthquake my boy Earthquake went in the match with his Earthquake and or Aftershock. Love that man so much. Grace.
The aftershock was just him jumping around the ring. That's it.
No, he still hit the Earthquake again though. He hit it one more time. He just had, it's kind of like Roman Reigns, when he do the little fisty thing. Shut up. When he do that, he got to get it pumped up again. Bro.
I mean, Hogan only 302. That's
That's a lot of man on your chest. I'm just saying, bro, it's a lot of man on the chest like that.
nah. That's not much more than 205. That's
I think he could have been the cruiserweight division. They kind of shifted the settings a little bit.
I mean, personally, I think he should be in the cruiserweight division. I don't think we should set weight limits on people because that's wrong.
I think it should be no limits.
Yeah, like I don't think we've ever seen a division with no
Why
limits.
didn't we invite Amy to this? She watching though. She said she thinks it depends on the person. By the way,
Hold up,
Amy,
hold up.
are you really gonna invite her right now? um, I definitely agree. It depends on the person. I think it depends on the move as well. Like I said with Noe Jose and stupid finishers, the freaking Cobra. It's funny. Stop it. Like that's one that I feel like shouldn't be a thing. Like stupid Cobra.
I mean, it's pretty devastating though. I don't know if you know, but cobras, they're venomous. They will.
I hate
I
you so.
I think. Oh my! She came. She actually came. Hi, Amy.
We're now joined by Amy, who is going to give her thoughts on our finishers extinct in modern wrestling right after the break. Well, come on back, down to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. They talk about podcast. Oh, sorry, I thought we was in a break. I was helping y'all out. I was trying to get her in here, let her kind of get comfortable, and then
I don't even know what I walked into.
you walked into a commercial break.
I'm surprised you actually came in.
I was on my phone, and then all of a sudden, boom, DJ and Casey pop up on my phone.
Hi, Amy. Do you have,
Hey!
you have
DJ!
other, do you have other thoughts on the topic? Anything?
Are they extinct? What are we? Well, are you discussing modern day, like mainstream wrestling, indie wrestling?
In general.
I said because I said that I feel like in mainstream wrestling they're not. I feel like a high percentage of them, high percentage of matches end with the finisher, whereas on the indies it's kind of different to me.
The indie matches, I just think it just depends on who's set up against who. To be honest, because some of them have different just gimmicks that they go off of and just have fun with it. And then there's more serious matches to where they're gonna end on the finisher. So I think it just depends on who's actually in the ring. But for WWE, they use their finishers in big matches and then end with the signature move in the smaller SmackDown Raw matches. Because you'll see, like AJ Styles, he barely uses the Styles Clash on SmackDown anymore. It's mainly in the pay-per-view. You'll see the Calf Crusher. Who else? Like, I don't know. I just think it just depends. I just see on WWE it's more signatures than anything. In pay-per-views, you'll see the actual finisher once, twice, maybe 5 times if you're, John Cena and Brock Lesnar.
But see that goes back to the point that we made before. Is a finisher is supposed to end the match, not multiple finishers.
Well, a match. Well, they've gotten out of since the days of like Bret Hart and Shawn. You've seen them heighten some matches up with make it last longer or just make them the intensity factor go up by making him kick out of like, holy crap, it's supposed to take only one. I mean, sometimes you build up the finisher that way, but sometimes they're just building up the character. It's not always about the finisher. They'll build them up like they're tougher than just one. Like Cena
Well, I have a
versus
secondary question.
Uh-huh.
Does finishers being extinct, or let's just say more so, people kicking out of finishers more, does that make wrestling better?
I think it just makes it more interesting. It's not a one and done. I like it. I like when it's not a one and done. It makes things a little bit more interesting in the match, a little better. Because then you have the underdog who's kicked out of like 3 finishers, come back, and somehow win. And I think that just makes that better, the match better, and the person better. But you
Yeah,
know,
I
people
definitely
build
agree
up.
with that too.
Yeah, but you know, then there's
Yeah,
also when they take finishers are extinct, at least for WWE, when they're jobbing the hell out of people. Because a 3-second match, you just do one strong move, and then the jobber loses. So that's where I think they're really extinct. It's when they're just jobbing the hell out of people, bringing talent in when you have talent that you can use. But that's WWE logic.
True. But one finisher that no one ever kicks out of is No Chin Music, the greatest move of all time. From the greatest
Because it
wrestler.
doesn't happen.
It does. It happens. I've seen it.
that is true. It doesn't happen. To answer my own question, I was gonna say that I definitely think it makes it better. Just because I think like you said, Amy, I think it adds to the excitement of the match. Um, especially if you really sit down and watch the match. Because I think in our minds, finishers still exist. Because you see that big move. I mean, obviously, you can kind of predict when people are going to kick out, but there's times like, especially nearing the end of the match, nearing the peak of the match, where like you feel like AJ Styles is going to hit the Styles Clash on John Cena, and you feel like it's going to be over. You feel like that's just the end of the match, and then he kicks out of it, and you're like, oh my goodness, he just kicked out of it. And I think kind of like with The Rock and Austin as well. I think that made that feud so much better that they were able to not only kick out of each other's finishers, but also steal each other's finishers. That was the first time I could remember that happening since I had been a wrestling fan, that I could actually remember that happening.
Well, to go off of that match, think about Taker Shawn 1.
Mhm.
You know, how many, power drivers and chokeslams it took to put away Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
That just goes to show you, like, when they beef up a legend, they're not, burying him in the ground.
And I think also, kind of like Amy said, it depends on the person. Like, if we have like a match with like Cena and Orton, I don't care how many times they kick out of each other's finishers, it's the same match. But at the same time, if you're building somebody up, I think it works there too. If you're trying to build somebody up to be kind of the next big star, like they've tried to do multiple times and then gave up, Jason Jordan. I think you can do it there, and then it makes that person feel that much stronger. Whereas, like I said, with like guys like Cena and Orton, okay, it's cool, but we've seen them kick out of each other's finishers 8,000 times because we've seen their matches 8,000 times. So I think like I said, it depends on the person. Sometimes you can make it feel bigger. It is. Awkward silence.
I definitely feel like I like doing these debates or the debates slash discussions, because I feel like we got a whole bunch, like we got like a whole bunch in like the can I guess is what like we got a whole bunch of these to do over the course of the next couple of months and weeks and days and whatever. So I always like doing these because I think they kind of show our opinions, and sometimes we disagree on things. Sometimes,
Most of the time.
like whose legacy should be destroyed? Just saying, maybe.
We all agree on that. It's John Cena.
I don't. People are gonna hate me, but I don't.
It's John. Okay, who is it?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I can't give that one away for free, man.
I gotta go look and see. See if I can figure this out. I'm curious now. Are you sure it's not John Cena?
No, because I actually like John Cena.
Is it? It's The Rock.
Triple H.
No.
You actually wouldn't expect this one from me.
Don't go to Boston?
That was no. Heck no. Heck no.
Hogan. It's
If we actually do this video, I'll reveal it. But until then, I'll keep it a secret.
better not be Ric Flair.
You know, it's possible.
It better not be Ric. It better be John Cena.
It's not fair to Flair.
Better be John Cena. That's all I have to say. That's the only one that logically makes sense.
I don't know. If we do this video, I'll tell you one thing: it won't be Cena because everybody will pick Cena, and I don't like being like everybody else.
So anyway, what is our next discussion we're doing? Debate, so we can.
I mean, we have a lot. Like, I mean, you can just throw out some of the ideas. Not necessarily we'll decide on one now, but at least so people know what we have planned. We have the one that Amy came up with about which mainstream company really started the women's revolution,
Emma.
as far as in the mainstream, not necessarily.
Emma.
Yeah, true. Emma.
It's just Emma. There's no company. It's just Emma.
I think it was Leah Rush.
Jesus.
It
was Crazy Mary Dobson.
It was Ruby Riott.
You know what it was? I'm not even gonna make that joke. I'm just gonna stop. I'm not even gonna do it.
You know who it really was? It was Santina Marella.
True. I think it was the Divas title.
I think it was vacant. You know, 'cause if you think about it, vacant has held every title in every company. I mean, so I think we need to talk about vacant more. I think we need to do that. But anyway, that was our discussion on what is it? On our finisher's extinct, dead, whatever, in modern wrestling. I think the general consensus is yes and no.
Doesn't answer the question at all.
It doesn't. I mean, but that's usually how our discussions end anyway. We come in with a specific.
It's because you hosted it.
You've hosted them too, and we still come out with the same. You say one way, I say another. And Amy says something, and we agree with Amy because she's usually right.
And then Miley finally shows up, right?
What? Oh, yeah, we have to do the overreaction and invite Miley, and then she won't show up. But anyway, we will see you probably maybe tomorrow, possibly. I don't know. I'm sure we'll do a discussion or something tomorrow.
That's what we should.
But
we should do the overreaction. We should debut that.
We should. We should. So the debut of the overreaction coming soon, maybe tomorrow, possibly. We don't know. We don't. We're terrible at scheduling things. We really are. We need to work on that. We've said that many times. But we'll see you on the thing that DJ doesn't want me to say. So I won't. I'll be good. I'll be nice this time. then maybe he won't send an application to Miley for a new co-host. Follow us on Twitter at ICW_podcast. Bye.